this gentleman here was a great example of going through trials. Now, when you talk about trials, and you talk about maybe the worst day ever in the Bible for somebody, who would you consider, or who would you think about? I mean, that man had the worst day ever. You got to think about it, right? Job. Job had probably the worst day ever in Bible history. He lost everything in a matter of one day. I mean, just think about that. Everything was taken away from him, from his children, his home, his wealth. It was the worst day ever for Job. But Job, he did something you would consider extra for God. Now, Job's touch bases a little bit this morning is Job, right? He had a great testimony for God. The devil said, hey, nothing can touch Job because your hand's upon him, and nothing can get to him, right? He starts telling God that at the gates there, at the meeting, and God says, you know what, well, fine, go over there and just don't lay a hand on him, and watch my servant Job still remain faithful, right? And what happens, right? The devil starts attacking everything in life, but Job remains faithful. He still remains a great servant of God. Doesn't revoke, doesn't deny, doesn't stop putting his faith in God. Now, but Job had everything. He was a very wealthy man, popular man by a lot of people, right? You would say. But nonetheless, he was also a man that lost everything in a matter of a day. Now, we see successful people in life, right? I would consider Job was a successful man even when it comes to wealth. And when I see Christians today that are wealthy, don't know if they're really Christians, but they claim to be Christians, right? Oh, I have faith in Jesus. But they consider themselves to be Christians, and they talk about how they're Christians, but they're very wealthy. I wonder if that same Christian that's a multi-millionaire, multi-billionaire, lost everything in a matter of a day, will they still give glory and honor to God? Because they're wealthy. Were they that Christian, if you will, when they were on the brinks of nothing? When I look at Job, I look at a wealthy man, but at the same time, I see Job as a man that was a genuine believer. Genuine. It didn't matter if he had everything or if he had nothing. He was still the same believer. There was something that really was like a secret sauce, you know, something secret. I'm not really good when I bite into something. If someone were to make a dinner for me and I bite it and they said, do you taste what's different? No, I mean, it just tastes the same. I can never tell. Okay, maybe you can. When I look and you dive into Job's life, however, and you say, what really made Job so special during this? How was he able to endure a very tough time, a difficult day? Should title this message, the worst day ever, right? But, I mean, nonetheless, Job, he did something very extra, because we do know later on in Job's life what happens. God blesses him even more than what he currently had. How's that possible? What got him to that level? And so, you see it definitely in the book of Job, but we'll go back here in just a moment. But just look with me at James chapter 5, and I want you to look with me at verse number 11. It says, behold, we count them happy which endure. Ye have heard of the patience of what? Job. And have seen the end of the Lord, that the Lord is very pitiful and of tender mercies. Job was able to endure because his extra in his life was a little thing called patience. Are you a patient person here this evening? I'll be honest, I struggle with patience. I'm more of a now, let's get it done type person. Pastor, be patient. I don't like being patient. My guys try to tell me at work, boss, be patient. I don't want to be patient. I use that phrase. I don't know if I'm going to live another minute. Job was patient. When you go through trials in life, are you a patient person? You're a person, no, it's okay. Just sit here and just let it be. Probably not. Probably a person like, okay, what did I do? God, teach me, I did something wrong. You're going through financial struggle. Are you patient? Are you a nervous wreck on saying, we got to figure out how to pay our bills? You're going through health problems. Are you patient? Are you saying, I got to get better. Let me read every article about my situation to see if I can get a little bit better by the end of the day? Are we patient? Job went through a lot of issues in this day, but he remained patient. And because of his patience, God says, that is what I saw that was extra in this man. He was patient on me. Job had no idea why he was going through his struggle. Do you know and do you understand that you will go through things even if you did nothing wrong? You could be doing everything right like Job, but still go through something. Why? I sometimes don't understand why God works that way. But he does. Because we see it in the life of Job. What caused Job to be put in a situation like this to make it the worst day of his life? He did nothing wrong. He was a perfect, upright man, a man that feared God and shunned evil. Sounds like a great guy to me. Sounds like a great man that I would say, hey, he's my role model in that area. Like, he probably was a role model to many. People say, do you know somebody that's great in the area? And they're like, yeah, Job. This man's amazing. You got to understand, and I'm probably going to say this in later on in life, is during this time, remember when God promised the people, if you obey me, I will what? Bless you. Remember he taught them that? Now remember, in this time and era, prosperity, if you will, was a way of them, was a way of God saying, hey, my hand's upon you. You got my hand upon your life. This is the prosperity. Now, we don't teach that today because that's not always the case, right? But prosperity, they love to teach that. God says in the Bible, and it's like, okay, yeah, but you also got to understand what time frame he was talking to on that part. Because if we went off of that, then, well, we know a lot of hypocrites out there who claim to be multi-millionaire Christians, right, Jules? Don't talk about it, but we got that out of the way already. So that wealth and prosperity doesn't mean that God's hand's upon you. Just sometimes God does bless that way. Sometimes he doesn't. But here at this era, they would look at somebody who claimed to be a servant of the Lord and the prosperity of the land that they had, the riches that they had. They said, hey, God's favors in their life. Job had a lot of that. He had God's hand upon his life. And the devil already knew that. I can't touch him because your hand's upon him. You don't let anything happen to him. So God removed it. But was it to teach Job something? Or was it to teach the devil something? I don't have an answer on that. But I do know that God commended him because of his patience. He says, because of my servant and his patience, this was his extra in his life. So let's look at this really quickly, because if you go with me just a few chapters over in James, before we go to Job in a second, if you go with me a few chapters over in James chapter 1, I want you to look at verse number 3. It says, knowing this, that the trying of your faith, what? Worketh patience. Oh, okay. Kind of makes sense a little bit now, right? You say here tonight, hey, I'm a Christian that has a lot of faith in God. Okay, great. You might be put to the test once or twice in your life. And it might come at a point where you did nothing wrong, but God's saying, hey, let's see if you're really serious about your faith that you say. But you see, look at the life of Job. We're going to look at it. Go with me to Job chapter 1, and we're going to kind of dive in there a little bit into the life of Job. Job chapter 1, and we can look at verse number 20. The Bible says, then Job rose and rent his mantle and shaved his head and fell down upon the ground and worshipped. There's another story in the Bible that's a little different. We're going to get there in a second. It says, instead, naked came I out of my mother's womb, naked shall I return thither, and the Lord gave, and the Lord had taken away. Blessed be the name of the what? You know, Job is told about his children at this point, and I want you to look with me really quickly. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but go with me to Ezra chapter 9. Just go to Ezra chapter 9 really quickly. Ezra chapter 9. I want you to look with me at verse number 3. And when I heard this thing, I rent my garment and my mantle. What does it say? Plucked off the hair of my head and of my beard, and sat down. What? Astonished. Isn't it? That's different, right? Same type of wording, but the very ending is different according to Job, right? Job, instead of, see, in Ezra chapter 9, he did so after he heard such terrible news. He plucked his hair out because of great grief. It caused him to not think so straight. He was astonished. He was so grieved that he plucked out his hair. You know, we got people. See, there's people in life, right? When they go through tough times, they do that little twirly thing around the hair and they yank it because it's like something that gets them. You know, it's just like a reaction. Have you seen those things on like videos? People that go through stuff, they start pulling out hair. They have a little patch from the head. If you watch this, it's pretty interesting. Job, though, I'm going to eliminate that problem. I'm going to shave my head. But notice he doesn't go astonished in a sense. What does he do? Look with me at Job chapter 20. It says, and fell down upon the ground and what? Worship. And he said, naked came I out of my mother's womb, and naked shall I return thither. The Lord hath taken away. Blessed be the name of the what? In other words, is this, guys, here's what helped him in his faith. He used his faith, or used his patience, and he used it to get under and hold on to that during his faith in God. Basically what he was doing in Job chapter 1, he says, hey, something happened. I don't know why, but you know who I can know that can give me strength to this and has the answers to it? Is I'm going to go directly to God. That's some strong faith. Even in one of the biggest crises of his life, losing his children, he still didn't allow grief to consume him. And when people go through things in life, let's be honest, sometimes we can get a little pity party about ourselves. Say, don't know why this has happened to me. I've been good. I've done right. I help people. God, why are you trying to teach me? Why are you trying to do this? Maybe, like Job, you say, you did nothing wrong. Just a little bit of testing today. It's just time for a little bit of testing. Sometimes we always got to remember when we go through things, it's not always because we did something wrong. Sometimes in the Christian life, he likes the test. Job, I think, knew this. I want you to hold your place in Job. I want you to go to Matthew, right? We learned this already in the book of Mark. But nonetheless, in Matthew, we can look at it the way Matthew writes this, because the way it's written in Matthew is more of a pointer out there. It kind of points it in the right direction, if you will. In Matthew chapter 11, you might know where I'm already going if you're going to chapter 11. I want you to look with me at verse number 28. The Bible says this, come unto me, all ye that labor and are what? Heavy laden, and I will give you what? Was Job heavy laden? Yeah. Was Job hurting in the heart? Yeah. Was he probably hurting up here a little bit? Yeah. Still mad. Made no sense to Job. He was just being blessed and blessed and blessed day in, day out, week after week, month after month. His riches were growing. God was prospering him, and then out of nowhere, oh, what just happened right now? See, in Ezra, that caused the man to go in major grief, and he pulled out his hair, and he was like, I am astonished, and I fall down weeping and crying. Job said, I don't know what's going on, but someone does. You take it in. We can fall into habits when we go through trials. And the first person we call on to is maybe a parent, maybe a friend, sometimes somebody from the church, sometimes you go to the pastor. But the first person you should always go to before you start panicking, right, is be patient and take it to God. Say, God, before I get all radical here for a second, before I start going a little haywire, before I allow my emotions to take the best of me, calm my heart, calm my spirit, calm my mind, handle what's going on. I don't know why you're doing it, don't know the purpose. If I have done something wrong, then teach me what I've done wrong so I can make it right. If I haven't done anything wrong, then God, just do what you need to do in my life to bring me closer to you, but just calm me. Teach me. Job, he was a righteous man. He knew the only source that can provide the strength and healing he needed at this difficult time in his life was God. So he took it to God. I want you to go with me in verse 21. It says, he said naked. If you go back to Job chapter 1, verse 21, it says, and he said, naked came I out of my mother's womb, and naked shall I return thither. You know, my dad used to say, when I didn't obey him, you came into this world with nothing, boy. You'll leave this house with nothing. Basically, I better whip up and listen to my parents, right? Oh, maybe he got it from this. I don't know. I just thought about that when I was reading it. I was like, I wanted to come to that. Is that where you got it from? But see, Job understood something. He said, naked came I out of my mother's womb, and naked shall I return thither. The Lord gave, notice this, and the Lord taketh away. Take it away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Those are strong words from a man who just heard of a major crisis in his life. You hear me talk about this man. He's the pastor of Hammond, Indiana now, pastor of First Baptist Church of Hammond, Indiana, John Wilkerson. One of the greatest preachers I've ever had the pleasure of meeting. Wonderful. And I never forget, I think I told the story many times. I played basketball with his son. And I remember going against him in high school, playing basketball, team versus team. A great ball player, too. And I remember we were supposed to have a game coming up, and then there was a tragic accident that took place. His son passed away in a car accident. And I remember this it was flooded with people going to this funeral. Now, mind you, I'm sure Brother John, Pastor John, had his own share of time of grief. He stood from that pulpit as probably one of the most strongest men I've ever known, trying to encourage those that were weeping for the loss of his own son. Every time I think about this, I picture Brother John. Because that's all I saw. I didn't see what was happening behind the home. I'm sure he did. I don't know. I'm not going to say he did. I'm not going to say he did. I don't know. Man, when he was up there and people were coming up weeping, crying, he was consoling them all. Guys, it's okay. It's in a better place. It's okay. I'll see him again. It's okay. He's not going to want me to quit. It's okay. He doesn't need to see me cry from above. I need these words. I was just astonished. I look at Job. Job just heard a major crisis in his life, and he says, hey, I'm going to go down and just trust God and what he's doing, and my faith and hope is not in my financials. My faith and hope is not in my materialistic life. My faith and hope is not in what I have or don't have. My faith and hope is in God, because He is the one that gave me it all. So if it's time for Him to take it away, then so be it. He can have it. Those were my kids He blessed me with, but along the line, the same was it was His children. His mentality, in other words, folks, was this: that God was still in control, even if it didn't feel like it. Job knew of the writer, right? Timothy says that we're going to leave this world with nothing. We came into this world with nothing, and we're going to leave this world with nothing. That kind of sounds like the same mindset Job had there. I've heard people, I've seen people when they have lost somebody. I've seen it. Job is different. Job has such peace and patience on God, even during this difficult time. He said, hey, God, if you're going to do something, that my hope is in you. This is about to get a little bit more testing here. It's about to get a little bit more trials here. I want you to look at chapter 19. Go with me to chapter 19. Job chapter 19, I want you to look at verse number 25 and 26. The Bible says this. It says, I know that my Redeemer liveth, and He shall stand at the later day upon the earth. And though after my skin worms destroy this body, yet in my flesh shall I see God. Let's go to chapter 13 really quickly. Let's go to chapter 13. Let's just go a few chapters backwards, and let's look at verse number 15. It says, though He slay me, yet will I trust in Him, but I will maintain my own ways, what? Before Him. He says, look, God, I don't know what I did wrong. Well, surely, whatever you're trying to teach me, but I still trust in you, and I'm still going to remain patient, because I got nothing else but to do is serve you. Because you brought me on this world, you put me here, and you can at least easily take me out of it if you see fit. The mindset of this man is different. He doesn't think ordinary. He's not thinking like an ordinary person here. He's thinking extraordinary. He's thinking in such a way that the average person, when they go through such crisis in their life, they go into a position of grief. Like you see in Ezra, where they plucked out their hair and he's grown grief. God, why are you doing this to me? Why is this happening to me? What is it that I've done wrong? Why would you do this to me? Am I not faithful? Am I not this? This is not Job. Job said, shave my head. I ain't trying to go down that route. And I'm going to go worship. And I'm going to go give it to God. And I'm just going to trust in God and whatever He's trying to do here. I need to understand it, but I do know my hope lies in Him, because He's the one that gives and He's the one that takes away. So whatever He's trying to do, Lord, let it be. This is something extraordinary. The way this man is thinking is extraordinary. Look, you definitely can see a different way of thinking. He was a prosperous man, yes. See, I don't mean to get off track, but you know why there's rich people and why there's poor people. Rich people think differently than poor people. They think differently. Read about it. There's just a different way of thinking. Job, he's thinking different. He knows he's been serving God. He knows he's been faithful. He knows he's been trying everything he possibly can to keep good testimony to everybody around him. He knows he's been trying to live right before his friends' eyes. He knows he's been trying to be a great husband, a great father, a godly man before him. God said this is a perfect man, an upright man, a man that feareth me and chilleth evil. Job knew it. He wasn't big-headed. He wasn't obnoxious. He wasn't prideful. He was a godly, God-fearing man. And when something major happened in his life, he didn't panic. and say, God, whatever you're trying to do, you do it. Calm my heart, calm my mind. Take me through the storm, because you're the only hope I have to get out of it. That's some good thinking. Look. Go to verse number 21. It says, it said, naked came I out of my mother's womb, and naked shall I return thither. The Lord gave, and the Lord hath taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. That phrase, though, that last part of that phrase is what stands out. Blessed. What does that mean by saying, blessed be the name? Blessed be the name. Basically, what you're doing is you're giving reverence to God. Amen? Blessed be his name. Blessed be his name. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Right? And then if you look at that song, what we're doing is we're giving love over to God. We're telling God how much we love him. Blessed be your name, God. You are in control. You are mighty. You are great. You are wonderful. You are amazing. You are everything I need in life. You are my all. You are everything. It's you is what fills the voids of my life. What he is saying, God, I love you no matter what you do in my life. Do you say that to God when you go through a major storm, or you say, God, why do you do this to me? Are you mad at me? God's like, oh, I'm just trying to teach you something. Job didn't allow his grief to consume him. He gave it over to God and put his faith in God and trusted in God. He says, this is where my hope lies. But God understands something. I'll never stop loving you. And if you're not done with this trial, know something. I won't stop loving you. Can you just picture the devil right now standing next to him like, are you kidding? That's some extraordinary stuff right there. The devil's like, I got you. Job hears about it. Goes somewhere, shaves his head. The devil's like, oh, he's about to kill himself. Because it had to be a sharp object, right? To shave his head. Sharp. He's trying to kill himself. Job's like, no. Shaves his head, puts it down. What's he doing? Goes to a place and worships. He says, God, I don't know what you're doing. But whatever you're doing, you're God. You can do anything then. You have all right to do it. You have all privilege to do it. You have all power to do it. So if you want to do this, then you do it. Whatever reason why, I don't need to know right now. Whatever it is. God, all I know is I love you. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Turn with me back to the book of Matthew really quickly. I want to just go here and maybe give us a little bit more insight on the life of Job in Matthew chapter 5. I want you to look with me at verse number 45. If you're there, Matthew chapter 5, verse 45 says, that ye may be the children of your Father which is in heaven, where he maketh his sun to rise on the evil and on the good, and sendeth rain on the just and on the what? In other words, basically is this: the nature of the Christian life, just the natural effect of the Christian life is you are going to have some rainy times. You're going to have storms. But don't always think when you go through storms that it's because you did something wrong. God, what did I do? I was like, nothing. You're just not handling this right now. I thought you had faith. I thought you had this faith that you've been telling everybody you had. I thought you were this somebody. This Bible expert. Do you not remember what I did to Job? He was a perfect man. An upright man. A man that feareth me. Cheweth evil. What makes you any more special than him? I put him in through one of the worst days ever in history. Who do you think you're exempt? So when you say to yourself, or you tell people you're going something, maybe it's because God's trying to get your attention because you did something wrong. That's foolish. That's not true. Job didn't do nothing. God allowed him to go through the rain. Look, how you handle it, though, does dictate the outcome. Right? Think about Moses. I was talking to Brother Jimmy on Wednesday. Moses. God said, hey, lead my people out of bondage and go to the land of milk and honey. Go to the promised land. But because of Moses' temper and impatience, he didn't get to go. Impatience. Key word. These people, be patient. Call back, that's a friend. Preacher, the people, be patient, brother. Look, patience is a secret sauce. If you don't have to do anything that's extraordinary, but patience can make you extraordinary. Moses was impatient. Abraham, well, what did he do that was impatience? Well, he wanted a child so bad that he did it out of God's will. And God says, no sirree, Bob. Can't bless that. Think about it. You think about all these people, even Peter got angry, right? The Garden of Gethsemane. Remember that story? He wasn't patient, so what did he do? He lashed out rather than realize God's there. Jesus is there. You don't think Jesus can handle his own problem? Jesus could have just went, blink, everyone done. That's how powerful he was. And I believe Peter knew that, but just because Peter was just allowing his emotion to take the best out of him, he became impatient and almost caused him to do something far worse than just cutting off a guard's ear. And Jesus said, hey, put that sword down, Peter. Calm down. Be patient. I already told you that was going to happen. So in other words, God's already told you that you're no one special, that you're not going to go through any storms in your life. So beware when you go through storms. Be patient during the storm. He's trying to teach you something. Job is that moral lesson for us. Job went through one of the worst days of history, yet it was due to his patience that he became rewarded. Look with me at Job chapter 42. Go to Job chapter 42. I will say this as your pastor, don't pray for patience. But you should learn patience. I know we joke around saying, I'm not patient. God says, oh, you might want to be. Right? You might want to be. Oh, it's good. I love the life of Job. It's awesome. Look at Job chapter 42. I want you to look at verse number 12. Start there. Now, mind you. Let's go back a little bit. Job lost his children, right? Lost his wealth. Lost everything. His friends were trying to convince him, you must have done something wrong. His wife was saying, you must have done something wrong. The God that you've been serving, he's doing this to you. Revoke him. Say you don't want it no more. He went through everything. He lost everything. But Job, as we have looked through Job, chapter 13, 28, he stayed in faithfulness and love with God. Did he not? He was patient during the storm. He was patient, even allowing all these boils on his body. Have you ever walked on the ground without shoes outside? And if you do, have you ever ran on the concrete? And have you ever got like a little cut underneath your toe? Has anyone ever had that? Or is it just me? I have. Those hurt, especially when you go take a shower. They hurt. So I just picture, I cannot figure boils, but I'm like, man, that was 100 times worse all over the body. And Job cut it off, right? Cut all the boils off the sharp object. We know the story. If you don't read it, it's great. But Job went through a lot, but yet he still remained patient and in love with God. Because of this, According to James chapter 5, it was because his patience. That's what made him extraordinary. And God says this. Look at chapter 42, look at verse number 12. So the Lord blessed the later end of Job more than his beginning. You would probably have looked at Job in the beginning of his life. That man could have nothing more. He could have nothing more. He was already wealthy. He was already blessed. He had a beautiful family. He had the respect of everyone in the area. I mean, he was just, what else can that man have? Well, God says more. So you get, well, this is where I get it from, and I'm thankful for preachers who tell me that. Says, you may think I have it all. No, you don't. You can have more. Why not serve God more in your life and get more? Be content. I am content. I'm content with what I have. It doesn't mean I don't want more. I want more of God's blessings. But that's another sermon myself. Let's look. So the Lord blessed the later end of Job more than his beginnings. For he had 14,000 sheep and 6,000 camels and thousands of yoke of oxen and 1,000 she asses, and he had also 7 sons and 3 daughters. Look at verse 6, or let's continue, well, we don't have to go through the names, but look at verse number 15. And in all the land were no women found so fair as the daughters of Job, and their father gave them inheritance among their brethren. After this lived Job 140 years, and saw his sons and his sons' sons, even for generations. Folks, that's a wonderful blessing. My dad has 27 grandchildren. A lot. 27 or 29, something like that. There's a lot. But he got to see his children's children and his children's grandchildren serving the Lord. I look forward to seeing God, would you allow me to live to see my children's children serving the Lord? He's blessed. Job just got blessed more after the storm, all because he was patient during the storm. Because he handled the storm quite well. He knew who the captain of the storm was. He said, hey, captain, what must I do? Like a good follower of a ship, right? They listen to their captain. The captain very calm and serve and say, this is what we need to do if we're going to make it out of the storm. He knew the only captain that he had was Jesus. He said, Jesus, you are my captain. What can I do? And he was just patient, trusting, never stopped loving him, didn't allow his grief to consume him. And God brought him out of the storm and blessed him even more than when he originally started off the storm. He did nothing wrong. Now, we can all say, well, if God is so merciful and God is so loving, why would he have done this? Want to know the answer? I don't have the answer. I don't think anybody has the answer. God works in ways that sometimes we don't ever comprehend. That's okay. Why? As Job said, he's God. He giveth life and he taketh life. He blesses and he takes away the blessing. He can do whatever he wants. He's God. So who am I to tell God, God, you got to give me a strategy here and let me know why? God says, why? God never told him why. All I know is, according to the Bible, that rain, storms come to the unjust as well as the just. And what's going to help us to go through the storm will be patience. So if we do anything extraordinary for God, patience can be something we can do. Apply patience in the Christian life, and that can help us to become something extraordinary for the Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. Let's stand, and then we'll go ahead and pray. I appreciate you folks for coming tonight. Hope that helped us understand a little bit about the life of Job and a wonderful lesson there he gives us so that we can be just a little bit better, a little bit more extraordinary for him. Let's go ahead and pray, and then we'll go ahead and have the meeting and we'll get out of here. Dear Father, thanks so much for this time. Thank you for everyone that came out this evening, Lord. Be with our church, be with those that are here, be with those that were not here. Father, help us to give an encouragement one to another. But Father, help us to understand that when we go through storms, we need to handle it the right way. Father, help us to understand the truth here and be patient during the storm. Just trust in you. Stay focused on you. Lord, because you're always in control, Lord. We just love you and thank you. In your precious name we pray. Amen. All right, those that don't need to be a part of the meeting,